Namaskar and welcome to this exciting new episode of Sathology Debunking Mythology. And today we are talking about spirituality and sustainability. It's an amazing topic. And we all know that Sat means truth by now. You all know it's a term which has existed in Sanskrit language for a very long time. And Sat means truth, and in Sanskrit, and logos means a study or a science. So Sathology means the study of truth or science of truth, and we try to research our topics deeply. And before we come up with a huge team of students led by our student leaders, and they are the ones who decide our topics. Now, coming to how it is an antonym of mythology. Myth in Sanskrit means a lie, a fake, or imagination. The term mythology was famously used by the faith based colonialists against ancient Indian scriptures because they could not fathom that something can be way more advanced than they ever saw. I always make a joke when the European Renaissance was in diapers, Indians were inventing numbers. So, so, so this is the background behind Sathology. So please do join us, comment on us, and like us on YouTube and share. On those who are watching it live, should contribute in a way that you can join our local Sathology clubs. Uh, Before we start off, I have a very, very special guest, a very learned person called a master of economics. You can say he teaches economics, and he is currently leading a university in India. So, without delay, let
Thank you,
us
Aditya.
welcome
Thank you.
Vice Chancellor Professor ADN Bajpai. Welcome, Professor Bajpai.
Thank you, sir.
So, you gave a very amazing topic, and all of us loved it. And sustainability and spirituality. And because the moment you say spirituality, it means that the connotations of that term is the person is good for nothing and he cannot be productive, right? He is practically a useless person, has too much time to waste, and he doesn't want to do anything real in the world. That's the connotations today, right? So, so when you say somebody says spiritual, then they say just kick him out of the room, and before he comes in, because he's going to waste everybody's time. And I can see you nodding your head. So how you respond to that misconception?
Actually, Aditya, a spiritual person is most effective, most productive, most relevant. I can, if I am permitted to say, is the only person relevant on the earth is the spiritual person. The persons moving away from spirituality, moving away from their level of efficiency, their optimal use of power, their wisdom, and their relevance to the time, space, and matter. A spiritual person can only make the things relevant to the time, space, matter, three dimension, and a spiritual person can only transcend from time, space, matter. That's the beauty of a spiritual person. So the persons who are just making joke of spirituality or the spiritual thing that they irrelevant, throw them out of the road as such. They are not persons belonging to the society. I think they should correct them. It's high time to correct themselves before it becomes quite late.
Actually,
Yes, I did.
when somebody is in a problem, that the only person whom they trust is the spiritual person.
Yeah.
But if there is no problem, then in general it is seen that the general impression, even in the I'm talking about purely about American colleges, is that this person is psychedelic, lives in a world which is unreal, and I mean that student. I've seen so many students. They, even though they are much more productive than other people, but the general impression is he becomes a European outcast. So
Yes.
so we have seen that. So what factors does spirituality add in the personality or the skill of a person that makes it what you just said?
You see, actually, Aditya, what I mean to say that if you're not spiritual, you're just concerned with your outer limits of your body as such. You are limiting yourself. So it is just a case of from limitedness to limitlessness. If you want to expand your capabilities, so far as whether it's body is concerned, or mind is concerned, or intellect is concerned, or wisdom is concerned, you want to bring entire universe under your domain of knowledge, you'll have to be spiritual. There cannot be any other methodology or instrument through which you can expand your capabilities beyond limits of even psychology. Now, these psychologists accept this very fact. So, people, because they don't have any neither proper pedagogy nor a methodology to capture the fruits of spirituality, that's why they are making such type of comments. And it's very simple. If it is going to meditate, if you're just meditating on yourself, then your powers would expand automatically. You will be better than others. You'll be more powerful than others. You'll be better orator as well. You'll be better thinker than others. You'll be creative as well, isn't it? What's happening with more deepening of efforts, people get meditated automatically, and they become creative. So that's why they think that it's merely efforts and efforts, labor and labor, which is bringing them fruits. It is not like that. That's my personal experience.
No, you added is something very important on sustainability, because
Yeah.
in the West means uh, too much wastage is done, and
Yes.
because of the abundance of the West after World War I and World War II, the wastage is very high, and sustainability is practically non-existent in the American society. And I always say now that America is transforming from a developed nation into a developing nation. Like, many parts of the infrastructure in America are on par with India right now. Somewhere Indian infrastructure is better because it is new, especially in telecom and highways. India is making new highways, and they're much better than American highways because the Americans have not invested a lot. So sustainability will become a factor in American economy in next 5 to 15 years. I say such a large range because, and right now most of the West is wasting too much. Like 30% of agricultural produce is thrown in the sea. Just an example. And the general consumption habits of Americans are, if something is broken, buy a new one. So it puts additional strain on the world environment, which is a big problem. So how do you connect spirituality to sustainability? Please elaborate.
Yeah, actually, you have rightly mentioned about the wastage. Not only wastage of the food products or many other things, but the total lifestyle of Westerns is a wasteful lifestyle. You that lifestyle, whether it's related to food, or it's a shelter, or clothing, or entertainment, or anything else, it consume. It is a consumptionism. It's a materialism. It is just for the sake of demonstration. It is a monetarism. It is for the conspicuous presentations before others. That real purpose of basic consumption is missing. Everything is moving towards consumption and consumption, and all the forces drive related to production asset. They're also having driving forces of consumption only. You see, from consumption of the body, the things have gone to the intellect level. So we are talking about behavioral economics or even cognitive economics. So this cognitive economics and behavioral economics are just increasing the rate of consumption, which is actually not needed. And spirituality just tell you what is required for your body, what is required for your mind, what is required for your wisdom, what is relevant, what is not relevant, what is needed, what is not needed, what is good, what is bad, what is beneficial, what is harmful. Most of the harmful things we are consuming today in the name of increasing consumption as such. But the spirituality discriminates between good and bad, relevant and irrelevant. So, if we are connecting with this spirituality, then sustainability would automatically come. I'll give another example. You see, sustainability means we want to see have the things in a long run. A basic definition which Bretton Woods you see have you see, explained that Brundtland report he has explained that we should try to see protect the consumption propensities of the next generation without compromising with the present one. I say if the consumption behavior of present generation is not per se low behold sustainable, then why not change? Why not compromise with the consumption levels of the present generation? So that we should leave resources for the next generation. We all know that we have you see, developed methodologies of resource mapping. There was a time when we did not have sufficient methodologies to map the availability of the future resource. Now we know that for how many years the water resources are available, for how many years the coal resources are available, for how many years this entire mineral resources are available, how many years the sea food is available. Everything is mapped. It is rationally expected, rational estimations are there. Then we are having all estimations, futuristic estimations. We all know the recycling plan of the resources. Even in suppose if you are increasing consumption, then I think there cannot be a bigger fool than us who are not thinking about the future. So a spiritual person, what does he do? As I told you already, he makes the things all relevant. Number one, correct, and also tells the utility of whatever you are doing as such. That person knows that his resources cannot be generated is automatically. They are not generated in a time as such. They takes a long years, thousand years to generate these resources. So you should try to use them as less as possible. Leave for others, leave for the nature to grow. As a spiritual person sees that presence of God in all these resources, in all flora, fauna, trees, plants, animals, everything. So try to take the things from them as which you need them. Gandhi used to say that nature is not sufficient to satisfy your needs, but not your greeds as such. So the today's world is greedy, not needy. Needs are directly connected with the spirituality, and greeds are connected with the materialism. So limiting your greeds and satisfying your needs with the available resources, go ahead. That is the crux of sustainability. Yes, Aditya.
No, you said something really great points, and because the consumption habit is directly connected to the greed and acquire more and more for oneself, and that's a really unsustainable model of the West. And
Yes,
the current administration, I would laud them for one thing at least, that they're very environmentally aware, and they want to do something. But over the years, the West has polluted the planet much more than the Eastern countries, because the Indian economy was primarily agrarian. And you are an economist yourself, par excellence. And agrarian economy has more fulfillment for the individual soul. And whereas the uh, industrial economy, which is Ugra Karma, which is bad for the environment in many ways. And the exploration of oil as a source of fuel has contributed tremendously. And the second is the meat industry. Meat industry is the biggest polluter in the world today, because of the not only emotional pollution but real environmental pollution, because the animals which are filled with anxiety, they produce more methane gas and heat up the environment, plus the transportation attached to that meat industry. So I call it the unethical industry, whereas We take the milk and kill the animal, kill the cow, and which is the biggest cause of pollution and unsustainability in the world today. So I was reading a statistics that if the meat consumption or the organized
चार्जर
slaughterhouses,
ऑन है, चार्जर चाहिए
organized organized slaughterhouses are stopped, are just reduced
on.
10%, then the entire greenhouse emissions is going to stop. What is your view on that?
Actually, Aditya, uh, am I audible, Aditya?
Yeah, we can see you. Yes, continue.
Actually, you see, if you are doing the things in a limited manner, isn't it? You see, if you're taking, you see, meat in a limited manner, see, for your food purpose as such, as a, there is a food chain in the nature. In the food chain, these, you see, the lions also taking meat. There are so many, you see, vegetarian animals and non-vegetarian, you see, animals also. But they are not, you see, creating any danger for any species. We have not taken clues from, you see, that natural food chain aspect. We are we are just creating market for everything. Market for meat, market for oil, market for, you see, everything. In marketing, we want to earn money out of the thing. That is creating a lot of problems. In a spiritual manner, suppose if you are, you see, a non-vegetarian, you have something which you need it actually. There is that will not create, you see, much of a problem as such. That too is bad. That too is unethical. I do agree with you, but we can't say change the food habits overnight. That's okay. But for commercial users, if you're just making rapacious, you see, exploitation of, you see, nature, including, you see, animals, then it is bad. It is going to create problems. Problems for the biodiversity. Direct problem. Biodiversity is depleting like anything. That is also that's also one of the prerequisite for sustainability. Second, resources also depleting at an exponential rate. That too is dangerous for the sustainability. Plus, they are emitting, you see, dangerous gases in the atmosphere. They are creating, you see, bad atmosphere for the present generation and the next generation, whether it is due to fossil fuel or cutting, you see, animals in a big manner as such. So we'll have to change entire, see, thing in a proper manner, which I call it a spiritual manner. When I connect spirituality and sustainability, I tell you, it is not merely the consumption patterns and everything. The spiritual is the only sustainable because spirituality is the science of soul, and soul is the only element in our body system which is, you see, a sustainable, which existed long years before, and that will, you see, live long years even after, you see, after death has it. And the matter has got, you see, finite property. Infinity, if at all, you see, exists anywhere on earth, that is spirit or the soul. So if sustainability is infinite, then we'll have to connect with the soul, with the, see, spiritual things only. And if you are just working for the finite world, then connect with this finite limited thing. Entire, see, material world, the basic property of matter is its limitedness, its finiteness. Then from finite, if you want to create infinite, it's just a bad methodology. It's a bad schema. It's a bad approach. That's why I say that sustainability can only be obtained through spirituality. Aditya.
You made a great connection between the two, because the overconsumption is destroying the planet. Like
Yes.
people love Mahatma Gandhi, but one thing they do not learn from Mahatma Gandhi is simplicity. That he would try to save as much as he can, and without overusing it. There is a concept called Yukta Vairagya in Sanskrit, which is that using only that much which is necessary for samsiddhir haritoshanam, which can please Hari. So the spirituality and the Yukta Vairagya concept gets combined. And this was given by around 600 years back by Rupa Goswami, a disciple of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So So do you think that the world now, there's a global audience right now, people can, even this Western disease of overconsumption or consuming consumer based economy is even coming to India also in a big way, and it's going to become faster with the advent of UPI and online payments, because people are have plastic money which can be spent without thinking tomorrow. It's like a binge shopping. So do you think that this is actually going to damage the sustainability of the planet?
Certainly, it has already damaged a lot. It has damaged, it is damaging, and it will damage in future also if uh, proper course of action is not taken at present time. We cannot see undo the past, but we can certainly take decisions about the present. You just see, took the name of Gandhiji and also uh, quoted Rupa Goswami is also Yukta Vairagya. You know the Isha Vasu Upanishad that oft quoted this shloka, Isha Vasimeda Gung Saromet Kinchit Jagat Tang Jagat Tena Takten Bhunji Tha. त्याग के साथ में भोग consumption with the renunciation is sacrifice.
Right.
Means consumption is essential part of our body line. Without consumption, you cannot live, you cannot survive. But with renunciation, with sacrifice, with sharing, if you are consuming, then your consumption levels will be satisfied. Also, the entire society consumption levels of all the societal members will also be fulfilled, and there will sufficient will leave for the nature as well. And this is the crux of trusteeship of Gandhiji and simplicity of Gandhiji as well. Gandhi used to satisfy his needs with the minimum resources, and he was quite effective. He was quite effective. He was quite productive. He just uh, defeated, Britishers, the biggest, force on the earth. That was simplicity, was at the behest of Gandhi's power effect. So, my request to all my Western friends that before consumption, before consuming anything, they should just relook. They should ask themselves whether whatever they want to consume, it is essential, it is necessary for their body, their mind, for maintaining their efficiency level, for comforts, or it is destroying their efficiency level. It is not necessary for their body as such. Rather, it will create many problems for the tummy, it will create obesity as well as tensions in the mind as such. For first of all, they will consume. After that, they will take medicines to digest whatever they will consume. So, in this vicious circle, one should not fall prey of this vicious circle. We should go for a virtuous circle in which we should be spiritual. We should think about the basket of consumption. It's relevant for this body, mind, and soul, and also think whether it's necessary or not. Things will be normal, automatic. You are not required to do anything special.
You quoted
Yes,
some very good. You quoted a very good shloka from Ishopanishad, which is part of Yajurveda, 40th or 41st chapter. And
Yeah.
the next one is very important. Next shloka is very important. Kurvan eniveha karmani jiji vishechatam evam toitnan asti asi na karma lipyate mare. Like this is the next shloka is very important. That if he continues to work in the Isha Vasim concept, and I think these two shloka combine our topic today, the Ishopanishad, where if we continue to work in that way, no karma is going to bind us. And so the West, probably many of the students are hearing for the first time that this is the right kind of economic sustainable model, where we do what is absolutely necessary, use what is absolutely necessary, and avoid over consumerism in every single possible way. But at the same time, you made an important point that consumerism propels the economy. But in the past, I've seen no economist ever, beginning from Chanakya, promoting consumerism, but still they were rich.
Yes.
So what is
Yes.
what is today's model? How is today's model of consumerism different than what Chanakya in Arthashastra says?
We see that real model, if you're just setting different parameters of economic growth, things will be see different. We are having, we see the base of economics is a broad base is the consumption levels or protecting the consumption patterns of all, especially those who belong to the marginalized section of society. One, if your parameter of economics is the equitable distribution of income as such, if your parameter of economics is just mm, sustainability of the resources for the future as such, maintaining environmental resources for the future as such, then your approach will be different. And if you are just making a parameter of growth rate, increasing GDP, or just creating some monopolists and monopsonists in the economy, whether in the name of capitalism or socialism. This concept of capitalism and socialism both you see believe the theories of a monopoly as well as monopsony. And whereas in India, we believe in the equitable distribution of income. When Chanakya was the creating economy, or India was he said that it's a golden bird asset. That time, every person, every citizen, every villager of the India was having sufficient you see, resources to feed themselves, to clothe themselves, to educate themselves, and to you see have some say, health arrangements also. And then sufficient resources were available for the societal growth asset because their entire approach is based upon savings based, not more consumption based. When you're saving, then saving can be translated into capital automatically. When you have some capital that will be reinvested in the in different ventures automatically, that will generate you see resources, goods, and everything. Everywhere you will find flood of milk, flood of I say food grains. Everything was flooded. People used to say that in India there used to be time when rivers of milk were flowing, दूध की नदियां बहती थी, because when everybody is assured of you see their minimum everything, then their efficiency level will automatically increase. In terms of the economic, the labor productivity will be see at a highest level when everybody feels that his needs will be fulfilled. So there are two different approaches. One is the approach, is a spiritual approach of dealing with economic problems, and other than is the Western or materialistic approach of dealing with these economic problems. A spiritual deal is that everybody is equal, everybody is a human being, whether he is small or big, belonging to any caste, creed, or color, living in any part of this region, he should be treated at par. Whereas Western model is individualistic model. They think that everybody is different. So if you're just thinking everybody is different, then you'll have to take individual approach to solving the individual problem for the individual things as such. Then things would not be normal as such. There is a basic difference. I think the Westerns should learn, you see, something from Indian philosophy, Indian approaches, Indian way of dealing with economic problems. And here in India also, I'll say that some parameter related to efficiency or increasing productivity or labor or time boundness, India should also learn so many things from you see, Western. So there should be win-win situation with the both. So the entire world, entire globe, entire planet should be sustainable with spiritual lines. Aditya,
You made some very good points, and one thing
thank you.
I'll ask you one last question on this series. And viewers, I know you're loving this conversation, but we have to wrap it up because of the time on the university scale. Satisfaction is not being taught.
Yeah,
People are taught to be dissatisfied, which is a that's why the word called human resources have come. In my any of my companies, I never use the word human resources. I call used to call it people services. They used to call it, because when you treat a human as a resource and use him as a resource for your economic advantage, then first of all you're demeaning the humanity, uh, because it's called manushya. For a reason it is called manushya. And at the second time, when you do not teach a person how to become satisfied, train him to how to become satisfied, there will be always a want for more. So in the competition of getting ahead of someone else, we are actually destroying all of us, not just one of us. What do you have to say, sir?
and so Aditya, satisfaction is taught in the University of Spirituality.
Correct.
There cannot be, you see, any other school, any other process where you see you'll be taught to be satisfied. Because satisfaction doesn't lie in the worldly thing, in the outside the worldly affairs. It's a part of our mindset, and mindset is being controlled by, you see, our soul. If soul said that you should be satisfied, no more, no more. Idam namama. You know that idam namama.
Correct.
Idamitham, idamitham, idamitham sarvam.
So
It's everything. It's everything. Now I don't want it. Alam, alam. I don't want more. I don't want more asset. So,
every single
I,
mantra says it. Every single mantra says
yeah.
it. Still, people don't hear it.
No, actually, you see, they are instinctual, na, in their behavior, and also the demonstration effect. This is the worldly affairs. So they think that, oh, he's going for that place. He has obtained this thing. So why not we? So here lies the real rule of spirituality. Instead of the marching along with the persons in the blind race at it, and the तो कहते हैं हम लोग. We should think about ourselves, whether we need it or not. It is not the word. We need it or not. If we need it, well and good. And also, person is to have obtained, we have not. Okay, he is me. I am as good as he is. Suppose he has marched, go ahead. There is no problem, etc. So entire such a training of mind is required, and that will come with the spirituality only. Otherwise, that too will be a few farce. We'll be just making natak drama of the spirituality, etc. There are so many, see, dramatists are available. We all know that there are so many Babas, Bapus, and Pujaris are there. They're not just spiritual. They are as good as any, see, corporate owner is there. Aditya.
No, great point you said. And one another thing which comes to my mind, and I wanted to
Yeah.
wrap it up, but one more question has come in, which is uh, the the satisfaction. And first of all, that is not being taught. The university system is preparing for students for buying to promote the economy. Like this is what the American university teaches, that you need to buy, but there is nothing being taught that that every single roll of paper, a tissue paper, it costs a tree, generally a tree. So that is not being taught. Do you think that this is a good mindset to teach children, and that mentality is coming
Yes,
in every other country also?
yes, yes. I say that will have to be taught scientifically. It's not merely the paper, the light also. If you're using more light as such, light doesn't come automatically. That somewhere you'll have to go to use your the thermal resources, some nuclear resources, some hydro resources. More see light you're consuming is more you're depleting your thermal, hydro, nuclear resources. That you'll have to teach scientifically so that a mindset of limitedness is entered into the minds of this young generation, and they should think that Baba, now it's enough. We should just relook, rethink, revisit, you see, our resources, our approaches, and go for those things which are really sustainable. We are not here is only for ourselves. We are here for the whole planet as such, not planet of today, but planet of tomorrow and our future. If that approach comes in the mind of the individual, especially the young mind, I think things will alter automatically. Adit, only there are only two approaches. Either the problems teach you, or this is the wisdom which teach you. If you are still learning things from the wisdom available in the Shastras or the spirituality, which I say, well and good. Otherwise, time will teach you automatically. Generally,
Great
I
point.
don't usually close with a negative note, but I'll have to.
Great point. And also the wrong philosophy is being taught that you have only one life. So enjoy as much
No.
as you can now. Nobody has seen the future. It's correct. Nobody has seen the future, but you do have children. They will see the
Yes.
future. So you may not see the future. Think about your children and your future generations. And when that wrong philosophy is being taught that this is the only life and consume as much as you can, enjoy as much as you can, then there is a tremendous economic loss to the future generations.
Yes.
So so that's a point. And thank you very much, Dr. Vajpayee, for coming and sharing with
Thank you,
us.
Aditya. Thank you, Aditya,
Very,
for
very
inviting me
important
into the
topic. We
discussion.
can go on this topic for hours. I know you can speak on this for 10 days at a stretch, but we'll wind up for the sake of time. And thank you all the viewers for watching. If you have any questions, do comment on the YouTube videos. And I asked all your questions right now to him, what you sent me.
Thank you, Aditya. Thank you very much.
Namaskar.